G'day everybody, it's Karen Brewer coming at you live from the Bush Telegraph, Monday the 1st of November 2021 with a special broadcast. This is in relation to two Australians, two good, honest Australians, three honest, passionate Australians that every Australian needs to know about. They have been arrested. This is happening in South Australia, and we're going to hand over to Chris Mazzy now, who will do a brief introduction on who Peter Horton is and Teresa Van Lieshout. Chris, I'll hand over to you now.
Okay, thank you.
Start by introducing people maybe who Peter is and a little bit of background, please.
Yeah, I do. Hang on. I want just the last person, the third person, her name is Donna, and she's had a child. They've tried to seize her twice, and the second time they got her. So I've got something to show you. I'll show you after, but we'll go to Donna after. So we'll start with Peter. Peter's been a top guy for so long. He has been trying to use the proper paperwork in common law to expose so much. He's been to the Supreme Court over and over and over with his paperwork, and he's completely ignored. So it's got to a point where we're going to the police station, like 30 people at a time, and we were putting in complaints in regards to one of the top judges here in South Australia. His name's Judge Kakarakis, and he's garbage, and he needs to be removed. But is what they've done with Peter. He put up all these signs, and then he started a political party so that we could try and get in that way. Or it's just like we're just pushing and pushing any way we can to go at these people. So South Australian CLC has been an absolutely.
I'll just take over for a second.
No, it's okay. Okay. Just give me a couple.
Yep.
It's been absolutely a sensational CLC. It was one of a kind. We had thousands of people going to one place in South Australia. Thousands. Okay. The rest of the country with the CLCs, they're all sort of apart and people apart, but they haven't got club like we had in South Australia. And there's so many people here in South Australia know about the suppression orders, the Mulligan inquiry, the Wood inquiry, and what Peter had been doing. So Peter got to a point where a lot of us were going down to the council, showing them how they were bogus they are on corporations, all ignored. All of this is ignored. And finally, we started going to the police station with paperwork and putting it in, and they were getting quite upset. So Peter was on the news when this all happened, and they called us a terrorist group. Where we're nothing but freedom. We're just activists. And from the ages of 18 up, and people brought their children. We got community gardens. We got so much there. We've even got an Indigenous hall that's being started up. Okay, so the Indigenous can show their things and sell their wares there. So at the moment the whole place has been closed down. Peter has lost 2 properties. They've stolen 2 properties off of him. So Peter has put a lot of time, a lot of effort into everything he's done for what South Australia had, and now they have locked him up. They came and arrested him probably 3 weeks ago now for nothing. They just come in and started raiding us again, and this is after they came with the SWAT team. I know that's when it happened. They came with the SWAT team. So there was people at the club, and they had machine guns pointed at them. We had machine guns pointed at us, like these people here. And when Peter went to have his bail done, the lawyer, my God, what a joke. What a joke. It's so corrupt, it's not funny, you know. So Peter's still in there, same as Teresa, but we'll get to Teresa after. So now they have him locked up, and one of his bail conditions was that the meetings had to stop. We had to pull down all the signs. The flags have gone off the top of our things, so we've got no more red flag hanging up in the air. And he's stuck. He's stuck in the jail, in the remand centre, and no one's listening through the hierarchy. There's no one. So, and that's the same for Teresa as well. So now Donna is a beautiful mother, and she has I think she's 14 years old. If someone is from Adelaide, they can tell us. But they came for her daughter, which we'll see after, which is before we proceed, of how the DCP and the police came to the club. It wasn't even Donna's home address when they came to the club, and they tried to steal her daughter then, but she was able to, after about a week and a half, she got paperwork to say they were going to stop. But last week, they came again and they stole the daughter. So I've got a little clip here. I haven't even seen it yet, but it's they went out this morning outside the DCP in Lonsdale and started to do like a little protest. So they're going to keep going there until her daughter is released. So, and then we got Teresa. Teresa, it's like a blanket effect with Teresa. We have no information. Not even her family can do much about what she's doing. I'm trying to get, people trying to tell me to back off, you'll be classed as this and that. And I don't give a fuck. I don't give a damn what people think. Teresa is a woman that is in a mental institution right now. They're stabbing her with shit. And to me, is another human being. And that's all I go on. It's a woman stuck. And she's basically worse off than Peter, because Peter gets his phone calls. And when you're in a mental hospital type, you're actually allowed to have your phone so you can communicate with the outside world and your family. Teresa has had none of this whatsoever. Absolutely nothing. So I'm still going, I've got a lady that's in Russia, and she is helping us over there. She's going to the Australian consulate and also putting other information into other consulates, Australian consulate around the world about Teresa. So
I'd just like to say a couple of things. Peter Horton contacted me directly back in my Facebook days when I first started posting my research about Senator Heffernan's speech. I made a connection with him when Thanos decided to start that webpage and do Brian Shaw's co-join letter and the My Will letter. And everyone that did post those My Will letters off, you actually sent them to Peter Horton. That was back in my Facebook days. That was my first sort of connection with Peter Horton in South Australia. After I was taken down off Facebook, Peter contacted me, wanted to see what he could do about making a display of all of the stuff that I was talking about. And I worked with Peter and his team for a number of weeks, sending emails and information through as they were trying to get a display up so that they could educate, like a display board that they could hang up and sort of talk people through the process. Peter Horton, I believe, is a very good man. He has done lots and lots of work for a very long time to educate people about common law and all of that stuff. He's opened up his home to others to facilitate that one-on-one sort of education and to get people to come together. And clearly he was a threat to the establishment because they've gone to such great levels to abuse him now. What I am suggesting is that all of us start sending letters to Peter. He has been held, I understand, Chris, isn't it, until January before he goes before? They are holding him until January.
He went twice back to court. He went twice back to court and they've refused him bail. The lawyer is garbage.
Well, all lawyers are in on it. We know that already. But he is being held now until January. This man hasn't done anything wrong other than use his voice to educate others and to pull people together in knowledge and strength. Never been violent to anybody, but he is now arrested and is being held until January. Of course, the pedophiles in our parliaments and in our judiciary, and just the others that are connected that get called up to court, as they do here in New Zealand, the Northland sex trafficking ring, for as an example, pedophiles get sentenced to home detention. Peter Horton, who is an upstanding man, trying to educate people about common law in South Australia, is now being held until January. I would like everybody to write to Peter Horton, and I will, in the description of this video when it goes to air, these address details will be posted with the video so that people know where to write to. Teresa van Lieshout only spoke to, I believe, just a couple of times. She is a very passionate woman, right? And often when people become passionate, and especially given the seriousness of the situation that we find ourselves in, and sometimes your emotions do rise up and bubble over. I myself am prone to get angry at times, as are we all. They only have locked her up because her voice was starting to get traction. You get that, people? And now she's being held in a mental institution in South Australia. And Theresa needs to receive those letters. These bureaucrats need to get a letter. They need to have their mailboxes filled every day with everything addressed to Peter Horton and Theresa van Lieshout, because those bureaucrats that are vetting all the mail, they need to know the people of Australia and New Zealand know about these two individuals. Even if you don't know them, send them a quick note to just say, "Hi, Peter, just learning about you and what you're doing. Wanted to know that you're not alone." That's going to mean so much to both of them. So I will get that information in a second. Secondly, these are good, honest people. And you know what makes up the world? We're all different. Theresa van Lieshout, I know a lot of people say a lot of unkind things about her. I believe she is a good woman with a passionate heart and was doing the best of her ability to try and wake people up. And I understand the rage. I've been at this now for 3 years since Scott Morrison gave that sorry speech, and I can tell you now, I get full of rage sometimes when people are taking hot shots by the jabbies, following directions from politicians who I know protect pedophiles. You've got no business bowing down to anything any politician's asking you. They are not interested in your health. They are not interested in your livelihood. They are not interested in you or your family. They want you dead. Just like they've murdered tens of thousands, probably millions of children across Australia and New Zealand, and indeed around the world. So yeah, sometimes I get angry too. Stupid people lining up for a jabby because, oh, I want to keep my job, a job that you probably fucking hate anyway. And I can tell you now, those jabby people, 2 years from now, you're going to be dead or seriously injured or seriously ill.
Karen, I went out on the weekend and I know of now 23 people that have died in South Australia just through 3 friends. We have more, like we used to walk around saying who's got the flu, like who's got corona, and everyone said no. Now it is people that are adverse reactions and died. So over the 2 days, I've learned of 23 people that have died here in South Australia from the jab. Back to you, mate.
No worries. This is the ABC News report. You'll find this posted on Friday, the 17th of September at 10:39 on the abc.net.au. I'll put the link in the chat here in a minute. And this is the little story that tells you about how they raided his property, armed with machine guns and the whole lot, for nothing. They took him away. He had his property out at Lonsdale because he was educating the masses. Now, to everybody in South Australia, this is something I really need you to pay attention to, ladies and gentlemen. This is the South Australian Government website, okay? And you go here to services and events /firearms and weapons /weapons. Come down to the menu under prohibited weapons, items and explosives. Prohibited weapon exemption. That means people that are allowed to have bazookas, prohibited weapons. So we're not just talking about guns, we're talking about your big boy ammunition, prohibited weapons, rocket launchers and all that sort of shit, okay? People that can have exemptions, which means they're allowed to have these armaments. Oh, what does it say right here, ladies and gentlemen? Freemason. Police, southaustralia.gov.au. Who's allowed to carry prohibited weapons in South Australia? Freemason. Do I have your attention, ladies and gentlemen? I will now copy these, and then Chris will do a screen share to show you all some stuff. So I'll just make, just so that people can get an idea on who Peter Horton is. Chris, I'll make you host so that you can do a screen share.
Yep.
There we go.
Okay. Look, I'll show Donna from this morning. Donna's been attacked. Like several of us are being targeted, but they don't know what they're going to be doing it for. So I'll show you what happened to Donna and what she was doing today. Hang on a sec. This is what she was doing this morning, and they're going to continue to do this. This is for all the people that have got their children stolen from the DCP, Australia-wide. This is what we have to start doing.
They're coming for your kids, ladies and gentlemen, and they're not mucking around.
Oh, it's going to buffer. It's going to buffer for ages. We'll just go back and do something else, and I'll let it buffer.
You put the link in the chat. I'll pick it up and I'll will.
This is another big thing. There's another link that I'll put in there from Donna, and it's a thing called Before We Proceed. And it gives you an indication of what you can say to these people to stop your children being stolen. But it's a hard task when they come to a place where your children are actually, there's only two of you, like you and your child. We were lucky that Donna, they came to the wrong house. They didn't even go to her address. They came to the club to get Donna's child, and there was easy 15 people there. 15 people that knew the law, that understood the law. So we were able to immediately gather many, many people and start going to the, the DCP and complaining and everywhere to complain. And then, it was like 3 days later. Donna is the only woman I know of that has been able to keep her child from them when they come. So 4 DCP turn up, and then 4 police officers. The police are right in on this. They're right on and like stealing your children when they're supposed to be there to serve and protect. They come to your house without even a court document. They come with a piece of paper, and it just got a little box that said, "Oh, you're bad," type thing. No court, no judge, no nothing. This has got to stop. This has to stop. So I can't. I'll get that into the chat.
I've just put the address up to write to Peter Horton, care at the Adelaide Remand Centre, 208 Curry Street, Adelaide, South Australia, PO 5000. It's really important that those letters start flooding in for Peter, because I should imagine right now he feels like the loneliest man in Australia. And
his club is just falling apart. No one's allowed to turn up. He's losing. They've even tried to move people out of the premises. There was about 5 people that were living there, and some of the people were hard done by, didn't have the money. Peter has caravans there. You could just walk in and go there and sleep, and it was like shared kitchens, everything.
I also want to draw the attention to all these people that keep banging on about allodial titles and trespass notices. When they've decided to target you, your allodial title ain't going to do jack shit. They're going to run right through your gate with their bloody vehicles. They're going to run right through your veggie patch, and they are going to do whatever they like with you. Do you get that? You can't throw paper at these people anymore. And yes, sorry, I just see in the chat here, iPhone is asking, are we about to cover what's happening in Auckland? Yes, we are. And David Obeda is here, and he will give us an update. Chris is now going to explain to people about Teresa Van Lieshout.
Teresa. I only seen her speak once. She's not mental. She had the right idea, and many people agree with me, no matter what she said or whatever. She had a plan. to gather people together and swear them in as police ministers, FBI agents, and stuff like that. But it all comes back to common law, and the term for it is like public arrest, like a citizen's arrest. Everything she was laying out was a part of the deal of citizens' arrests. Same as Karen was getting bulk people into one spot. If hundreds of us go to a police station where we know someone's bad in the police station, we can go in as 100 people with complaints from each of us and arrest him, and then take him to another station and say, you have to arrest him. You have to arrest him. Same as the judges, same as the politicians. We can do this under a term called citizen's arrest. And I'll post a link to that so people can have a look at that. This is what Teresa was on about. This is, you know, and she was just like Karen, just over and over saying the same thing over and over, and that's what gets people angry. And then Teresa was ambushed. She was ambushed by trolls who then demolished her. She had a list of names, like emails. There was hundreds and thousands of people that were interested. Hundreds and thousands were writing and joining and these trolls took all the names.
Controlled opposition. They're not trolls, they're controlled opposition. And if you don't think controlled opposition is real, I'm telling you now, you're mistaken. There's a lot at risk for these people. I can tell you that, ladies and gentlemen. All that glitters is not gold. Always come back to the two questions. Where did they go to school? And who's their daddy? I know many a controlled opposition. Brian Tamaki, for a start, rang me up here about 4 months ago. I didn't know him from Adam. He started raving on to me, threatening me on the phone and all sorts of stuff. I just hung up on him and blocked him. Didn't know who the hell he was. And then a couple of weeks ago, he appears on, someone sent me a message, and he's trying to organise a rally down at the Domain in Auckland. This bloke's out of a thing called Destiny Church. Really? Well, I can assure you, he rang me about 4 months ago, was highly abusive on the phone, threatened me and all sorts of stuff, and I just hung up and blocked him. But that's who you're following. And so let's talk about that for one moment in Auckland, okay? So there was tens of thousands of people out on the street on Saturday, and that was fabulous. It really was. It was great to see. But did anything change? I'll wait. Oh, no, that's right. You're still locked down again today. Nothing changed. All these people that are calling you to rally in parks and all this sort of stuff, it's great to get unity, and that's fabulous, right? I support that. But once you've got the unity and you're standing there with a few thousand people, you need to walk to the homes of the Governor-General. The Governor-Generals hold the reserve power to dismiss parliaments and issue a fresh election. And I can assure you, when you're prepared to front up there on their front doorstep by the thousands, the will of the people will carry them to do the will of the people. And with that in mind, we're going to throw now to David Obeda. David here's a very good man. And today, he decided he was going to the Governor-General's in Auckland. So David, can you just unmute yourself there, Dave? Hang on a sec, I just got to reclaim the host, mute, and then go for it, Dave. Please give the people an update of what happened and what you're going to do going forward.
Yeah, thank you, Karen, and cheers, Chris, as well over there in Oz. Yeah, so today I just went down after what we had discussed yesterday. I just wanted to go down and check it out. It was spur of the moment. I've just gone down there to really just make a solo stand, but I got a hold of Karen and she got a whole bunch of people down there. So yeah, I just went down there because, I mean, at this point, I just feel like it's make or break time, you know. Really need to start doing something other than just walking the streets with placards and things that really isn't getting us anywhere, you know. So I went down there, thank God, you know, to the people that came down as well to show support. That was awesome. But yeah, this is definitely something that's not going to let up. When we were standing down there, a guy came out that looked like a gardener, but he obviously wasn't a gardener. American accent. He hopped it. He was mowing an already mowed lawn, just going back up and down. So he came over anyway. He told us that Dame Sydney wasn't there. We're not buying that. The police came down afterwards. They definitely didn't like us being there. They were civil though, we were civil with them. We told them at the end of the day, they're not the enemy. So yeah, the police sort of left us alone there. There wasn't many of us though. There was about 6 or 7 of us.
Not bad for short notice.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, no, that was an awesome show out for just short notice. And after I left, people were coming down and contacting all night, wanting to come down and show support anyway. So it's definitely getting out there now over social media. People are interested now. A lot of these teams that are getting around weren't even aware about anything to do with the Governor General. I mean, this woman does have the power to dissolve the New Zealand Parliament. It says it right there. So she has the power to do that. Currently, there are teams organising that hikoi down to Wellington to the Beehive. Again, though, I just don't see the point in that. I don't see the point in that. And anyway, here in Auckland, we can't get down there anyway. So,
but to the people that are organising that hikoi to Wellington, please get in touch with me. I'm more than happy to explain you and step you all through it. But you need to take that to the home of the Governor General in Wellington, and she is located at 1 Rugby Street, Wellington. People need to be surrounding your governor, and remember, she's your governor, ladies and gentlemen, in such great numbers that the will of the people carries. And both of those homes need to be surrounded.
Yeah, well, yeah, I completely agree. Those homes definitely need to be surrounded at this point, strengthen numbers. Again, I'm talking to different people, letting them know about this Governor General stuff, because it needs to happen, because it's just at this point now, it's really make or break. Yeah, so again, we're going to be setting up again to go down there, back down to Mountain Road there, 119. People are keen though, so a lot of people didn't realize see this as an option, so we're definitely discussing it. Currently, people are still at the south checkpoint there at Mercer. They've set up a camp there as well, so they won't be leaving anytime soon. So we'll definitely be getting into contact with them. But yeah, we just really need to spread the word about this Governor General thing, because I mean, at this point, I just can't see anything better at this point, than doing this. So.
No, they've all got to go. See, the problem isn't just Jacinda, and it's not just ScoMo, and it's not just Anna Plakachuk, and it's not just Daniel Andrews. The problem is every politician. The problem is Judith Collins. The problem is Stuart Nash. The problem is Chris Hipkins. It's all of them. And they've all got to go. And the governors hold the reserve power to dismiss parliaments and issue the writs for a fresh election. And have some faith in your fellow mankind inside your electorate. You will know how to select candidates, because you're going to vet them very carefully in the future.
ScoMo was ignored today at the climate change hoax. Everyone ignored him.
I don't care what ScoMo's doing. The guy's
a pedophile.
He's just got to go.
I'm just saying, the rest of the world are watching us.
Yeah, and we have the power to do this. The other thing everyone needs to know, this power, this reserve power of the governors, it has been used twice before in Australia. It was used in 1932 when the New South Wales governor had to dismiss the New South Wales Parliament. It was used again in 1975 when the Governor General had to dismiss the Federal Parliament of Australia, which at the time was headed up by pedophile Prime Minister Gough Whitlam. Ladies and gentlemen, the immediate remedy is to stand at the homes of those governors. And I'm not just talking about standing there for an hour or two. I'm talking about fronting up and be prepared to stay there. And you must front up in such numbers that the will of the people must carry. The governors hold the reserve power to dismiss parliaments and issue the writs for a fresh election. We have written every letter. We have signed every petition. We've co-joined every class action, and we've been doing that stuff for over 100 years, and it ain't working. It ain't working. And over the last 18 months, the abuses by our governments against the people has ramped up to such a point it's undeniable, ladies and gentlemen. So you have a choice to make now. Put down your differences and stand shoulder to shoulder and make your way to the homes of your governor. We're not negotiating with these people anymore. Please stand there in silence. No placards, no speeches, no noise. They know why we're there. We want the parliaments dismissed and the writs issued. And we're not talking anymore. We're not negotiating. And we're not begging these filthy Freemason politicians no more. We're not begging them for nothing. They've all got to go. And be prepared to stay there, ladies and gentlemen. I believe if we front up in such great numbers, it'll only take a matter of hours to get it done. But be prepared to stay there for a day or two. Be prepared for the crowds to grow. But it's up to you. You're making a decision tomorrow about what you're going to do. Choose wisely, because the future of your children, grandchildren, your community and your country depends on the actions you decide to take. Every tractor, every ute, every car needs to be surrounding, and those roads around the homes of the governors need to be absolutely jam-packed with cars. Everyone that owns a camper van, get in your car. Turn the streets around their homes into a car park. This is the remedy. It's been used twice before. And anyone that's not calling for this action at this stage in the game, if you're still trying to muster people to stand in a fucking park, I view you as a traitor now. Many of these so-called freedom warriors and all this, many of them I have spoken to directly. People like Voices for Freedom, Claire Deeks. I spoke to her a number of times back in March. The woman's full of shit. So to all you good people, and I'm sure there's literally thousands of good people following Voices for Freedom, I would ask you, now is your moment of reflection. You've been following this band of merry people. Claire Deeks is out of Spotswood College, by the way. You've been following them for over 18 months, and slowly here in New Zealand, your country's going to hell and your countrymen are being genocided. So you need to now question why Claire Deeks, who is a lawyer, who would be well-versed in the reserve powers of the governor, has never made one attempt to educate anyone in Voices for Freedom to stand up. As a matter of fact, I know she told the people of Whangarei not to associate with the people from Stand in the Park. I contacted Claire Deeks back in March, about Tuesday, the 31st of August, and the woman would not stand. She's controlled opposition. And all those people that keep donating to this Voices for Freedom, I'd ask you, spend a moment to reflect on what actually has been delivered for the last 18 months. Nothing. It's time you woke up to that cold, hard fact. Nothing. Stop following filthy people. I am asking you to follow no one. I am asking you to take the time to look around. If you know what's happening around you, to your family, your friends, your community, and your country, if you know what's happening is wrong, then you start fronting up at the homes of those governors and start tomorrow and be prepared to stay there. Weeks ago, a young bloke out of Brisbane, his name is Dan, he contacted me because he decided he was going to the governor's home in Brisbane, and he started doing it every Monday, 12 noon. He started with just him and two mates. Well, I'm happy to report there's over 40 people that now join him every Monday. And quite frankly, everyone in Queensland needs to be joining with him. There's nothing else you need to be doing right now except standing up for yourself, your family, your community and the country. The only way you're going to change this is by taking it to the governors. May your conscience be your guide.
There was a police officer in Melbourne over the weekend when they had a bit of a rally there, and he actually spoke really well, and he turned around to the other police officers, pointed at them all, and he said to them, these people are now, and he turned around to the people and said, on your side. So let's drop the fear, because now we know, even in Victoria, the police are going to start coming to our side. Okay, so that was a brilliant speech that he did. I haven't watched all of it, but what I've seen was him turning around to the coppers and saying, all these people up here are basically now with you. And there was thousands there, thousands. So it's, you know, every day for me, when I see this stuff, it just makes me just keep going harder and harder and harder. So
Put down, I'm begging people, put down your differences. Put down your differences, put down your egos. Put all that shit aside and stand at the homes of those governors and be prepared to stay there, Anzac, until you get the job done. And right now, more than ever, it is important that both Australia and New Zealand stand together on this. We are the two most isolated nations on earth. We are the experimental ground because there ain't nowhere for us to run. There is no border. There is no running from this issue. We are island nations. The only option you have is to stand. So stand where it counts.
I feel too that people that are going to, like, we should start to even though, you know, we go to these freedom rallies now and we start talking to the other people around us and letting them know that shouldn't be walking around the street in a circle. We've all got to go here. Like the day of the 31st was the best morning I've had at a rally with so many people for Karen, and the controlled opposition were there. They were there. So go to these freedom rallies and start talking to them and telling them that these people are controlled opposition, and we're all going to start going to the 31st, or all to the Governor General. No more in the parks. No more Sunday in the parks. It's the Governor General's house. We've got to go to the Governor General's house.
Every state across Australia has a governor, and the two territories have an administrator. Okay, but they're still governors, right? In New Zealand, you only have one Governor General. She has two residences in New Zealand, one in Wellington in Rugby Street, and one in Auckland at a suburb called Epsom, located at 119 Mountain Road. Anyone calling for a freedom stand, they're the only places you need to be. Now, for people in Australia that live remotely, and I know there are people that live literally, 18 hours drive from the home of the governor, I get it. Then you rally your suburb to stand at the local seat of parliament, right? The local seat of parliament, if you live a long way away from the capital cities in Australia, is your council chamber. That is your local seat of parliament. And you stand there in great numbers, and we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere until these numbers have gathered in such volume that those governors, they've got to act. Because right now, let's hope going forward, they wake up one day very soon and they find there's 30,000 people standing at the end of their driveway. New Zealand, I've got some really good news for you. Right across New Zealand, okay, you only have 9,500 police officers. As I've told you guys, when the SNA was here in Kaikoui, there was 4,000 people turned up in this town, and there was only 4 coppers. And there ain't a damn thing they could have done to stop that. No fear, ladies and gentlemen, no fear. We outnumber the costumed thugs the moment you decide to stand shoulder to shoulder at the homes of your governors.
Yeah, even here in Auckland, honestly, it was a good turnout today. Even after I left, there was, people calling up, keen to come down even past 6 o'clock, so that people are keen, I've been informing everyone about this Governor General stuff, and like they're all shocked, a lot of them didn't even know about it, any of this stuff, because again, these people, these leaders haven't even been telling us about any of this. They just want us doing other stuff. But I'm quietly confident here in Auckland anyway that the numbers are going to build, and they're going to build quickly and strongly, because people are over it here. Trust me, people are here in Auckland are definitely looking for something to do. So there's a lot of talk going on right now, but it's all about discernment at this point. You know what I mean? Don't follow anyone in particular, just follow the movement. You know what I mean? This movement that we're forming. Don't rely on anybody in particular. Just put all your faith in this movement and what we're doing, wanting to find out the truth, wanting freedom, wanting the dark to come to light,
Yep. The European Union today, or I've seen a video when I first got home, goes for about 2.5 minutes. It's the European Union. They asked for freedom of information from the government and have been for quite a while. One guy stood up there with 6 people, got 3 either side, and he had the paperwork. They finally gave him the freedom of information, what he wanted to know, and it was all blacked out.
Yeah, it's all redacted. We're not falling for that shit anymore.
Well, that's what the guy was showing, Karen.
I'm just going to finish this recording now, Chris. And then
no, one more, Karen. I'm going to show there's 2.5 minutes of Donna.
Yep.
I want this to be recorded. I want this to be recorded so everyone can see it.
This is
right.
Peter.
This is Donna this morning outside the DCP in Adelaide, demanding her child back. Hang on, I've done it wrong there. I'll just go to screen share. This is what we got to do outside of the DCP, people.
No longer. I've got a little surprise on my.
I'm going to start it again. Sorry, I'm going to turn my volume up.
Oh, and I will keep the recording going. There's one more thing I wanted to say for people that are distant. Just why Chris is doing that. For people that live a long way from their governors, I also want you to think about some things. I want you to think about media. Okay, if you're a remote living Australian and you want to make a stand, then you need to start standing outside your local radio station, your local television station if you've got one, any sort of media outlet. Get it happening, especially for remote communities. Come together and stand. Go for it, Chris.
Okay, here we go.
Here we are at DCP, no longer. I've got a little surprise on what it really stands for. You ready? DCP. Oh, what does it really stand for? Anyhow, I've got a few signs here. That's one of them. That's my favourite. And this, we're going to do a survey up the front on how Joyce Clark's been going. We're just wondering what the people think of Joyce Clark. So I've said scary and big, and we're going to see what people think of Joyce Clark.
So she's doing a petition about one of the ladies that's running the DCP.
That they've allowed them to actually see their children, and then they tear them away from them again, just re-traumatise the whole thing again. So DCP love that. I've made a few signs for them. I just wonder if Takara is still alive. And DCP cannot be trusted with our precious babies, with uncaring strangers, and they have a dangerous and they need to return our babies now and restore harmony and legal justice. Takara Michael is being held hostage by DCP. They need to release her, return her, restore her to me, my beautiful created daughter from my own flesh and blood and bone. So we've made a few signs to get our point across. This is when I'm looking to DCP. Can the person with a higher claim than me, and her mother, can that person just come forward and then, hey, I'm happy then. But there's no person that's got a higher claim to Cara than myself. So please return my daughter. Just return her. It's real simple. And return all of our children. Free your mind, our young people. We the people have spoken. We need to acknowledge the truth. And the truth is that DCP procure children and make money from it. And that's just one truth. There's many truths about DCP. So if we lose our values, we lose our country. Pat Ossie did an interview with the guy yesterday, and that was one of the main things I took from it. It was really interesting. So yeah, they need to return to Para. I'll leave it there for now, and we'll catch up with you soon. We'll be down here all day, so come and join us in Warlung with DCP. We're in quite a hub down here. They take you to the GP, then they've got mental health over there, take all your stuff away from you, and then send you off to Centrelink, you know. So we're down here in the hub of hell. So thanks everyone, thanks for your support.
Okay, I did notice one other thing with that as well. They refused Dakara and her mother to talk this morning. So they had a meeting to have them to talk to each other, and they declined. So she doesn't know what's going on.
And Anzac, this same story is repeated across New Zealand by an organisation called Orangatamariki, right? It's exactly the same thing as the DCP in South Australia. It's exactly the same thing as DOCS in New South Wales, the Department of Community Services. They've been rounding up our kids for decades. This ain't news. But right now, they're going to come and they're going to jab your kids. They're going to take them off you if you're not jabbed. And now we got today here in New Zealand, we got the whole incentive program via Freemason employers rolling out gift vouchers if you go and genocide yourself for a hot shot. $200 voucher at Bunnings, these filthy friggin' people. I beg you all, no matter what group you're affiliated with, no matter what was your moment of waking up, I'm begging you, put all your differences aside, put all the egos down, come together and stand in great numbers at the homes of those governors who hold the reserve power to dismiss parliaments and issue the writs for a fresh election. Come together, your countries need you now. If anyone that is living remote or in a locked down area, think strategically about where you're going to target. You need to target your MP's office. You need to target if you have a local newspaper or radio station. You need to be standing at these places. You see these filthy Freemasons, they control everything you see, hear and read. But here's the good news. They can't live in the light. And the moment you stand there and shine the light on their propaganda, their filth, when we come together and do that, we will overcome. We outnumber them. So if you live remotely, your options are your local media outlets and standing at your local council chamber. If you live in an area where you can in fact get to the cities and stand at the homes of your governor, I beg you to do it. There is nothing else you need to do. There really is.
I'm just putting a couple more links in here in the chat. This is called Before We Proceed Part 2. I put it in earlier, but it